You're watching a special presentation of CBS 4 News, Storm Tracker 4 Ahead of the Storm, brought to you by USAA.
Hurricane season is underway right now. Do you know the difference between a watch and a warning? And do you know what items you need to have in case of a storm? Tonight, we'll make sure you're ready in case a storm hits. Good evening and thank you for joining us for this special edition of CBS 4 Storm Tracker 4 Ahead of the Storm. I'm Chief Meteorologist Brian Hale.
And I'm Meteorologist Jim Danner here on South Padre Island. Tonight we have important and new information to relate to you at home that will keep you prepared this hurricane season, which runs through November.
It's been 10 years since the Rio Grande Valley has seen a hurricane make landfall. Hurricane Dolly made landfall July 23rd, 2008 as a Category 1 storm.
This year, experts are predicting it to be a busy hurricane season, saying there will be between 14 and 18 named storms on the U.S. coastline. Colorado State predicts 7 of those will be hurricanes, while North Carolina State believes between 7 and 11 will become hurricanes. This while some parts of the nation are still cleaning up from devastating storms that swept through last year. Hurricane Harvey slammed into Houston, causing up to $180 billion in damages. Hurricane Irma hit Florida hard, and Hurricane Maria decimated Puerto Rico.
Hurricanes can range from a Category 1 to a Category 5, which is the most catastrophic type of storm that can hit. It takes a special group of people to help determine just how strong the storm might become. CBS 4's Sydney Hernandez sat down with hurricane hunters on what it's like to risk your life to save others.
When most people are heading away from a hurricane, these men and women with the Air Force Reserves are heading straight into the storm.
You know, the first couple of times you do it, you're doing something that you've been told your entire aviation career to never ever do, fly into a thunderstorm. So it is certainly a little unnerving.
NOAA hurricane hunters fly into the eye of hurricanes, which is a donut-like ring of thunderstorms where the most intense rainfall and winds are found to collect data. That data is then passed on to weather experts on the ground.
And that's where we come in. We go out there to help plug data into all the models they're creating.
The models that many of us look at to monitor severe weather on our phones or online are based off of these radars inside the plane.
It takes temperature, it takes humidity, it takes wind, it takes pressure. It takes all that information and feeds that back to a computer that we use at the Hurricane Center to help us make the forecasts, the watches, and warnings. It's critical that we have that information, so it's incredible.
But tracking hurricanes isn't all this C-130 Air Force plane does. The plane and its pilots also prep for the aftermath.
It doesn't stop. When a hurricane hits the coast, that's not the end of it. When it moves inland, there's a lot of heavy rain, a lot of flooding. We can have tornadoes, so it's really important to be prepared even this close to the coast.
Meaning if the valley doesn't get hit by a hurricane, flooding can still be a big problem for residents.
Water's the real danger when it comes to the tropical systems and interactions with people. So the preparation for that is just incredible. If you're a low-lying area, knowing if you're going to flood, the heavy rainfall.
Eddie Olivares, in charge of Hidalgo County Health and Human Services, says they're working closely with the Hurricane Center to ensure if disaster does strike, everyone is working together to prevent flooding and keep valley residents informed.
We have to be prepared because all it takes is one.
With complete valley coverage, Sydney Hernandez, CBS 4.
Hurricane Harvey was a Category 4 storm that hit Texas on August 25, 2017. It caused $125 billion in damage, according to the National Hurricane Center. Harvey made landfall 3 times in 6 days. At its peak on September 1, 2017, 1/3 of Houston was underwater. 2 feet of rain fell in the first 24 hours alone. Flooding forced 39,000 people out of their homes and into shelters. Hurricane Harvey barely missed the Rio Grande Valley, and that has many residents asking, are we prepared to handle a hurricane of that caliber? CBS 4's Maribel Gonzalez spoke with 2 individuals who are applying their expertise to prepare for when natural disasters hit our area.
Places like these, one of Hidalgo County's widest drainage ditches, have witnessed what can happen when hurricanes strike.
When Hurricane Dolly hit this area, this ditch quickly filled up with water. In fact, Hidalgo County officials tell me that the water hit that brim of that pipe right there, threatening to overflow onto the bridge.
And that was a major learning lesson for the county, says Raul Cesin, manager for the Hidalgo County Drainage District 1.
We started being very assertive in our maintenance operation of our system to to create these type of bench systems to help us carry more water and make it easier to maintain.
But even with these improvements, is the valley prepared to handle flooding from a hurricane as severe as Harvey?
I don't think anybody's ready. If you think about it, even Houston, you see what happened to Houston, basically all the improvements that they've done, all the requirements that they have in place. When you have that type of event, I don't think anyone is ready for that type of event.
But one professor at UTRGV is trying to get as close to being ready as computation allows. Jun-Suk Ho is currently developing a weather forecast model unique to the valley. It's called the Coastal Hurricane Flood Model, and it would combine existing models into one.
The ultimate goal is kind of creating a hurricane flood warning system.
Taking into account two flooding factors which could affect the valley should a hurricane strike: storm surge and rainfall.
More accurate result.
The goal is to combine this new model with existing ones in Willacy and Cameron County, and in the future help create a flood warning system.
And we can see, anyone can see through our website and even mobile application.
Water flowing through our system.
But in the meantime, Cecine with the Drainage District says the county is actively preparing as hurricane season rolls in.
If we do get an event this hurricane season, we believe we're better off than we were back in Dolly for sure, and we can continue to improve everything that we have in our area.
In Hidalgo County, Maribel Gonzalez, CBS 4.
Professor Ho is expected to complete his project by October 2020. Next, he plans on partnering with Hidalgo County to apply his research to that area.
Right now, sand is being removed from the Brownsville Ship Channel and being dumped near shore on a berm on South Padre Island. This dredging project is to benefit the city by creating a buffer that will not only protect from erosion, but will also protect property from storm surge during a tropical storm or hurricane.
Which means that waves will actually be naturally acting upon the material and bringing it to shore.
Seaweed is mixed with the sand to help keep it together. Dredging is expected to continue through the summer. The time to plan is now. Get a basic supply kit ready and consider different storage locations for different situations. Develop a family emergency plan. Be sure to plan for locations away from home. Pet owners should have plans to care for their animals. And prepare your boat and be aware of marine safety if you're near the water. Coming up on Storm Tracker 4, ahead of the storm, a look at insurance claims.
A breakdown on how to review your policy and make sure you have the coverage you need to take care of damages. And what you need to know in case a mass evacuation is ordered, plus a plan for your pets.
First, a bit of a fun fact. Did you know a hurricane's eye wall is a dangerous thing? The eye wall is located within the hurricane where the most dangerous winds and intense rainfall can be found.
Storm Tracker 4 ahead of the storm. We'll be right back.
What's the difference between a hurricane watch and a hurricane warning? Well, the difference is about 12 hours. A watch is issued when a hurricane or tropical storm is possible within 36 hours. A warning is issued when those same conditions are expected within 24 hours. In some cases, a storm can be so powerful a mass evacuation is ordered. So, what do you need to know if that should happen? CBS 4's Patrick Chalvier explains.
It comes around every year, but do you know your evacuation route in case of a hurricane?
Get out of my house.
Do you know what road you would take?
No.
Well, don't worry. In fact, there are a few routes.
Interstate 2, which runs parallel to the border, Interstate 69E and Interstate 69C. Those are the major arteries.
Every year, TxDOT says they spend time making sure there are enough routes and lanes available to ensure a safe and swift move out of the valley in the case of an emergency.
We also have in a few areas and a few FMs evacu lanes. Instead of having just one lane on those FMs, we'll have 2 lanes now.
It isn't a secret that construction projects have been in full force this year, but TxDOT says it won't slow you down.
There's always 2 travel lanes available. And of course, we work closely with our contractors to make sure that that is so.
When avoiding the path of a hurricane, TxDOT says it's best to travel west, away from the Gulf. If it ever happens, Highway 100, for example, will undergo a major change around.
Well, we have a plan that's called contraflow. Getting those lanes that usually go towards the Gulf, going away from the Gulf. So all the lanes will be used. You know, instead of 3 lanes, we have 6 lanes now.
The route has never been implemented, but TxDOT ensures residents that precautions are in place. And before you head out on your nearest emergency route, make sure you're prepared with non-perishable items. But there's one more thing.
Mention your plan to somebody else. Why? Because if something happens, you don't report, if something happens, somebody will be looking for you.
Traffic flow and safety is top priority for U.S. Border Patrol when it comes to evacuations during a major storm, especially a hurricane. Regardless of the weather, checkpoints always remain open. Border Patrol says while their mission is to keep our borders safe, community safety comes first when and if a mass evacuation is ordered. To help with traffic flow, all lanes are open to keep traffic moving. For those who do not evacuate but need a place to stay during a hurricane, there are several FEMA safe shelters that will be open. Right now, the Rio Grande Valley has domed emergency shelters in Los Fresnos, Rio Hondo, La Feria, Willacy County, and Mercedes. These domes are able to withstand winds up to 200 miles per hour. First responders and local officials will also be able to take refuge in these domes, allowing them to begin recovery efforts faster.
Ahead of the storm, prepare your pets. Be up to date with vaccines and be sure they are wearing collars with securely fastened, up-to-date identification. If your pets are not microchipped, you may want to consider doing so.
Not locking your dog in a room or in a kennel or even tied to a tree. At least give them the opportunity to kind of, escape on their own or maybe get to safe ground or and you can always make a report too, say, hey, I have 2 dogs or a cat, can you please, try to get someone to go back for them? And again, the importance of microchipping, that dog can later be put back together with its family.
This hurricane season, the ASPCA recommends using a rescue sticker alert to let people know that pets are inside your home. Make sure it's visible to rescue workers and that it includes types and number of pets in your household and your veterinarian's phone number. If you must evacuate with your pets and if time allows, write evacuated across the stickers so rescue workers don't waste time looking for them. To order a sticker, head to valleycentral.com. We've set up a link for you to access the registration form. Still plenty to come on Storm Tracker 4 ahead of the storm. Information on an interactive program that could help your child understand the impacts of a natural disaster and how to help them prepare.
Plus, how to make sure you have the best insurance coverage for your home ahead of the storm.
Storm Tracker 4 ahead of the storm. We'll be right back.
The Saffir-Simpson Hurricane Wind Scale is a 1 to 5 rating based on a hurricane's sustained wind speed. This scale estimates potential property damage. Hurricanes reaching Category 3 and higher are considered major hurricanes because of their potential for significant loss of life and damage. Category 1 and 2 storms are still dangerous, however, and require preventative measures.
Right now is the time to review your home insurance. Ahead of the storm, you should make sure you have the right coverage to get through not only wind damage, but flooding as well. Tonight, our sponsor, USAA Insurance, offers some advice.
First things first, review your insurance policy carefully. Go over it with your agent to make sure your home is properly covered.
And we recommend that you insure for the rebuild cost of your home. So not necessarily what you purchased it for, not what you would sell it for, but if your home was decimated by a hurricane, what would it cost to remove all that debris and build up from the ground up?
According to Rob Galbraith, the Director of Property Underwriting at USAA, you may need up to 3 policies. That includes your standard homeowner's policy, windstorm coverage, and flood insurance, regardless of where you live.
Folks that say, I live outside the floodplain. Well, 1 in 4 losses from flood happen outside of the floodplain. So just because you don't have to have it doesn't mean it's not a good idea.
It will also help speed up the recovery process. If your home is damaged by flooding,
then the only option is to go through the FEMA Disaster Relief Program, which settles at a far lower value and is much tougher to recover financially.
The time to secure that insurance policy is now. Waiting until a storm is in the Gulf of Mexico could be way too late.
You have to wait 30 days before the policy becomes effective, and so it's important to buy that policy today so that you're ready for hurricane season.
Those living in or near hurricane areas should make copies of proof of ownership documents of any property not limited to their homes, cars, and boats. These documents can be stored in the hurricane kit or any safe location that does not risk being damaged during the hurricane.
Ahead of the storm, prepare financially. Start an emergency savings fund and keep cash handy in case you can't access an ATM. Also, strengthen your home. Make sure your home is in good repair and meets local hurricane building codes. Declutter drains and gutters, trim trees, secure loose outdoor items, and secure doors. And know a safe location to move your car during a storm. The Home Depot Survival Bucket is once again up for grabs this hurricane season. I'll look at what's inside and how you can take home one of these buckets ahead of the storm.
Plus, how the food bank RGV is ready to respond if a natural disaster were to hit the Rio Grande Valley. That's next on CBS 4 Storm Tracker 4 Ahead of the Storm.
Storm Tracker 4 Ahead of the Storm. We'll be right back.
Did you know slow-moving hurricanes produce more rainfall and can cause more damage from flooding than faster-moving, more powerful hurricanes? It's always important to have a supply kit ready ahead of the storm. Here's what you'll need. Drinking water, 1 gallon per person per day in unbreakable containers. Non-perishable food, at least 3 to 7 days of food per family member. Take care of any baby needs. Fill your prescription medications. Have a first aid kit. And don't forget tools and supplies, such as batteries and flashlights.
The American Red Cross is there to respond when disaster strikes. But did you know they also help educate the young community and businesses about storms and how to prepare for them? The American Red Cross Pillowcase Project is a free, interactive preparedness program designed for the youth ages 8 to 11. The program aims to increase awareness and understanding of natural hazards and teaches safety, emotional coping skills, and personal preparedness.
The main thing is a framework of the course, learn, practice, share. We learned about preparedness, we practice it, and now the children can go home and share it with their family.
For more information about the Pillowcase Project and how your school, after-school program, or community group can participate, just contact the Red Cross.
The Food Bank RGV plays a vital role after the storm. During Hurricane Harvey, teams from the Valley traveled to Houston to help distribute food to those who were displaced by floodwaters. Not only did workers and volunteers distribute food, they also handed out water, cleaning supplies, and clothing. Teams here say they are ready to act if needed. After Harvey hit, the Houston Food Bank distributed roughly 28 million pounds of relief supplies through October 30th, equivalent to just shy of $44 million in aid.
A Stormwatch tool will once again be utilized in Cameron County. It's called Storm Geometeorological Services. It tracks severe weather conditions and will alert county residents when severe weather is approaching the area. Important information is then posted to the county's website. To register for this alert system, go to Cameron County website, co.cameron.tx.us. Those living in Hidalgo County can sign up for eHidalgo emergency alerts. This system allows county officials to provide residents with critical information quickly in a variety of situations, such as severe weather, unexpected road closures, missing persons, and evacuations of buildings or neighborhoods. You will receive time-sensitive messages wherever you specify, such as your home, cell phone, or email. To register, head on over to the county website, hidalgocounty.us.
We'll be right back with more from South Padre Island.
Storm Tracker 4 Ahead of the Storm. We'll be right back.
A must-have this hurricane season is our Home Depot Survival Storm Bucket. It's filled with essentials needed during a storm, such as flashlights, batteries, and tarps, just to name a few. We're giving away 20 of these buckets starting tonight.
You can enter at valleycentral.com. Winners will be announced during the 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. newscasts. This hurricane season, be sure to download our CBS 4 News mobile app. It's your source for breaking news and weather when it happens. To download, just go to Google or the App Store. You can even set up your own playlist for stories you want from your community.
We want to thank you for joining us for this special edition of CBS 4 Storm Tracker 4 Ahead of the Storm. Remember, it is important to be prepared and have a plan this hurricane season, which runs through November 30th. On behalf of meteorologist Jim Danner and myself, good night.
Thanks for watching this special presentation of CBS 4 News Storm Tracker 4 Ahead of the Storm, brought to you by USAA.